Welcome back to the Doc of Detox live Q&A. How to become number one at the art of number two. Who would have thought that you could do a whole masterclass around the scoop on poop? Well, we did it. It was 6 hours. And guess what? Today we're going to be answering all your questions, okay? They don't have to be just on the scoop on poop. They can be anything. They can be emotional or they can be anything that you're troubled with. And understand something, I'll do my best to answer that question for you, okay? And if you would like to watch this life-saving and life-changing masterclass, how to become number one at the art of number two, then you can go to docofdetox.com at the top of the page, and you will find our masterclass directory with hours of information. This is my gift to you, free until the new year. Once the new year comes, Braveheart Masterclass will be going in, and there will be like $5 charge a month or $95 for a year. And we're going to put all our master classes in one portal for you. That'll be Braveheart Masterclass. That'll be the Art of Number One. It'll also be the A to Z Wellness Wolfe Non-Surgical on how you don't have to go to surgery. We'll show you every part of the body that you can get rid of your scar tissue calcium issue, and you can cancel that surgery. Understand, 95% of all surgeries are not needed. But if you believe you need them, then you do. But until you get new information, then you change the whole playground. So we'll also be putting another 4 master classes up within the next 5 months. So there'll be 7 master classes in total in our master class portal. And I know you're going to love it. Okay. So today is the Q&A. So send in your live questions now on Facebook, YouTube, and Intercom. All right. First come, first serve. I've got about 22 questions today on everything from the scoop on poop to emotional situations with people. So, just do it, put them in, and first come, first serve. You can also find us on Telegram, BitChute. Okay, those links will be on the video after I'm all finished. There's a little video at the end. We tell you where to go for all your life-saving, life-changing information and just support tools. That's all it is. Okay, and please feel free to share and let people know that we are in BitChute and we are also on Telegram, because we just never know when they're going to turn our lights out, okay, on Facebook or YouTube, because, lately I just have to tell you that these platforms have had some mood disorders. Okay, so what do we want to talk about right now? Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about. Here's the deal. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Are you scared? Are you scared yet? Have you been scared for a while? Well, guess what? The reason why you're scared is because those who are trying to scare you know that you're beginning to wake up. That's why they're trying to scare you and to cause you to be paralyzed in fear. Well, guess what? That's over. The turning point is just around the corner. And who do I have today coming on? I have Dr. Brian Gangle, and he's going to be talking to you about what? Turning Point. What is Turning Point? Well, I'll tell you something. It's the most powerful online webinar. Now, everybody always says that, right? The latest, greatest breakthrough. But guess what? I'm going to let him just lay it out for you like a buffet, and then you tell me where you should be from the 17th to the 25th. Okay? So right now, I'd like to introduce my dear friend, and you want to talk about a Braveheart hero, Dr. Brian Gangle.
Well, thank you very much, Daryl. We think the world of you too, and I consider you definitely my brother and soulmate in healing and delivering the message, humanitarian health messages to the entire world. And kudos to you for being so brave and brave of heart yourself in delivering this message and continuing all the incredible things that you do. Turning Point 2020. I was given the mantle from the World Organization of Natural Medicine. It's one of the most distinguished organizations in the world, a conglomeration of professionals, practitioners in many countries all around the world, to begin to put together their first ever online conference, an international conference. And I was given the position of the chair of the conference. And I've been doing conferences online for 15 years myself. And in doing a conference of this size and scope and magnitude, the first thing you do is you don't put together the speakers. The first thing you build, Daryl, is you build the pipeline. So I began working with the largest encrypted VPN network in the world, and I approached their board of directors with this mission. I would like to deliver the largest ever held online conference in history. And they said, that's a pretty lofty goal, Mr. Gangle. So what's your plan exactly? Well, I want to bring together the 4 universes that have never, ever played together in the same sandbox. All of the thought leaders, all of the influencers, the world leaders in the wealth and health space, the health and wellness space, the personal development and empowerment space, the people in the humanitarian missions around the world, the people from the health freedom and the freedom of choice movements. And I wanted to bring all of them together into one conference. And everyone I talked to said, middle of October is that magic time that things are going to start to congeal, and it's going to be a pivotal point in human history. And this company that I was working with that built the pipeline, their board of directors said to me, we're going to put you in front of millions and millions of people. What's the elevator pitch? So they have 100 million subscribers around the world, and they granted us originally about 2.5% of their network, which would instantly make us 2.5 million people listening to this conference live streamed in 23 countries. They recently told me that they want to be able to have the entire pipeline available for the conference, giving us the capacity for millions and millions of people to watch this conference. And they said, why should we pick up your conference as opposed to all of the other conferences that are available? If you go on any weekend and you take a look, there's 7,000, 8,000 different conferences happening globally. Why yours? Well, here's the elevator pitch. Metaphorically, the aliens came and they saw and they left. We have made an awful mess here on Earth, haven't we? After these 9 historic days, the audience around the world will have the tools, the inspiration, and the change of heart so that the next time the aliens come, it'll go like this. They came, they stopped, and they said, Earth, great place, wonderful people, beautiful environment. Hey, on your galaxy and universe of travels, you got to make Earth your #1 destination. Now comes the assembly of 50 speakers, world-class, thought-provokers, thought leaders, influencers in these 4 different universes. And so here is the lineup for the first time released anywhere in the world. And you know, this conference amounts to the same as you going in our generation to Woodstock. And if you were there and you remember what it was like in Woodstock, you know, 400,000 people came from all over the world to this music festival. In our generation, me and Daryl's generation anyway, we remember Live Aid. And I remember being glued to the television screen, not even wanting to go to the washroom, not even wanting to go to get a break to eat anything, because this was happening in a global event. This is our Live Aid of our generation. Turning Point 2020, this conference that changed the world, is our version of Live Aid. I'm going to give you for the first time, and Daryl and your listeners are going to hear it, the official list of speakers that are at Turning Point 2020. And by the way, if you want to get tickets to this historic event, the tickets come in 2 varieties from one portal, universal around the world, available in 23 countries, turningpoint2020.online. And there you can take 2 tickets. One, a 5-night ticket, because the conference is going to be 2 weekends and 5 days in between. And that ticket in between is just for the 5 nights. It's only $5, $5 Canadian. And that gets you to listen to the 5 nights. It's a non-for-profit ticket. It's called our World Humanity Ticket. And that's a non-for-profit going to the Clinics of Humanity, which is WONM.org/clinics. You can learn about Clinics for Humanity and the amazing work that they do. So that's a non-for-profit ticket. Anybody can afford it. Somebody in Bangalore, India, somebody in Ethiopia, somebody in Baja California, wherever they are in the world, they can afford a $5 not-for-profit ticket. The Saturdays and the Sundays are broken up into a Super Saturday research program with some of the biggest research names in the world. And you're going to get all their new cutting-edge research. And then Sunday is all of the extravaganza workshops from the big names like yourself, Daryl, as you're going to be delivering a knockout workshop on one of the Sundays. So that ticket is $97.50. And there's a discount, by the way, at checkout if you want to buy that all-inclusive 9-day ticket. And that discount is Doc of Detox, all lowercase, Doc, D-O-C, of O-F, Detox, D-E-T-O-X. So Doc of Detox. If you use that code at checkout, you actually save 20% off that all access, and that ticket is only value priced already at $97.50. Some people say the list of speakers you have for this conference is probably worth $500 to $1,000. It's only $97.50 with a 20% discount using the discount code Doc of Detox. Here's who are on the list who's scheduled so far. And by the way, there's still more announcements. First, Patrick Porter from BrainTap International. Dr. Robert Lyons, he's the WOM ambassador in Europe, and he's the founder of Kagan Water. Dr. Andre Matea, the lead researcher in the biomedical research team in Europe. Dame Dr. Sheila McKenzie, the president of the World Organization of Natural Medicine. The legendary Jeffrey Smith from the GMO Project. Lucian Delica, one of the top chemists from Romania. Then we get to the workshops, and then you have Dr. Linda Forbes, legendary, rarely heard from the Quantum Research Council of America. Then we have an empowerment superstar team led by Robert Moore, Reggie Rusk, the NFL player, Della Fuccia, Satish Verma from Think and Grow Rich, Lori McNeil, legendary motivational speaker, Tiki Davis, and then Serena Brown Travis. So superstar empowerment. And then the man, the mission, the miracle himself, Dr. Darrell Wolfe, and how to win it when the game is rigged. And he's going to be doing a live workshop that he'll tell more about later on. Then we get to the Monday, which is research and development on the horizon. And this is an evening program where Jeffrey Smith is going to be interviewing first Professor George Grant, former scientist from FDA and Health Canada. And then you have Charlene Bollinger, Jay Vander Eulen from National Selections, and a very, very decorated sleep expert, Dr. Deborah Drake. Tuesday, the theme is Point of No Return. Point of No Return, Jeffrey's coming back with Lynn McTaggart. Then you have the legendary Andrew Wakefield from Britain. Darryl is going to be back for a 1-hour workshop to give you the nuts and bolts of what's going on in this world and how you're going to cope and survive and thrive. And then Ted Korn, one of the most decorated chiropractors in America. Wednesday, Jeffrey's back with the legendary Tom O'Brien, Sherry Tenpenny, then Brian Clement, and then Oksana Saviak, very decorated dentist, holistic biological dentist, a legend in Canada. Thursday brings the grassroots movements and the incubators of change. Jeffrey's back himself with his brand new initiative, which he was just on overnight with George Norrie talking about, the founder of the Institute of Responsible Technology. Ty and Charlene Bollinger come back for a keynote. Nelson Campbell from Pure Plant Nation, that's a nonprofit which is all around the world. And then the big man himself, Del Bigtree. Friday brings the World Health Freedom Movements. We have Jeffrey Smith is going to be interviewing Scott Tips from the National Health Freedom Association in Europe, Rashid Butard, then Jim Turner from Washington, the Center for Health Freedoms, and then a smorgasbord of the Canadian freedom fighters that have led all those protests across the nation. Saturday brings the big end researchers back again, starting with the legend himself, Ralph Moss, then Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, T. Colin Campbell. I'll be doing a frame myself on the lost chemistry of the ages. Brian and Anna Maria Clement will return, and then Lynn McTaggart. Then we have the empowerment superstars on Saturday night, led by the legendary Raymond Arendt, Martin Root, John Assaraf, and finally Joe Vitale. Wow, that is outrageous. Sunday, the conference continues with Sir Gerald Smith and Anthony Sims, some of the most biomedical people in the world working on biomechanics and the mouth. The legendary Dr. Stanley Nye, Dame Grandmaster Effie Pao-Yu Chow. She is the Dame Grandmaster for Qigong in the world. And then Sir John Chin from Think and Grow Rich. His company, by the way, was just valued at $400 million. And he is going to be delivering an empowerment workshop, followed by Master Shaw from the World Tao Association. That is just the opening salvo of speakers, and more speakers are being announced. This is the greatest accumulation of speakers from the health and wellness space, from the personal empowerment and personal development space, from the humanitarian and the health freedoms and the freedom of choice movements for the first time assembled ever. Turning Point 2020, the conference that changed the world. You want to be part of history? Get your tickets at turningpoint2020.online.
Thank you, Brian. So understand, everyone, that this information is invaluable, not just in the way that, oh, wow, there's some new information, but the reality is this. Did somebody ever tell you something that got you off of the hook of being fearful, scared? And did somebody ever tell you something that put something a little bit different that went click in your head? Or you were finally able to talk to your wife or your husband or your children and make it really clear what you need to do for your next move? Understand something. The reality is this: we're in this problem because we don't have strategy. If we actually had a strategy from the minute we woke up until we went to bed, how to master our minds and our bodies, and we felt very confident that our backs were covered, okay, and that, the future was clear, it doesn't matter, okay? You're always going to have bullies, you're always going to have tyrants, and there's more tyrants out there than we can shake a stick at. Let me tell you something. Corporations are opportunists. And understand, as long as the majority are going to sleep on the job, they will sell anything, and they will poke you with anything, and they will program you with anything. Brian, what do you think about that?
I agree completely. This is a turning point, not just in what's happening in the new era, the COVID era, which we are now entering, but it's a new turning point for humanity as a whole. And yes, the corporations have moved in, and things have changed dramatically. I like to think of it this way. Right now, in the beginning, before this all started, the first adopters are always the first ones in. They're on the meniscus, on the edge of change. And they had adopted purchasing online. They had adopted doing everything virtually. Now, with the new era that we have entered into, the masses are now seeing everything and doing everything and purchasing everything online. The corporations, yes, the four horsemen, they call it, the four biggest corporations in the world, where everybody else is looking at, last month, 70,000 bankruptcies in the United States alone in major companies. And when you see the never going to appear again that have gone bankrupt, you can see the changes. And yet, four major corporations have benefited enormously, and their stock prices have soared through the roof because they benefited from the ability to change the mechanics and the way that we operate. But like you say, know this, that wherever there's adversity, you can turn it to advantage. And the advantage is we now have the pipeline for the first time to reach 100 million eyeballs plus. And now we're not just delivering a group of speakers. Each speaker actually has what's called a talking point or a piece of the puzzle. And what we are going to do is our 50 speakers are going to give you 50 hot buttons, actual steps that you can take, things so that you can actually shift, pivot, and take advantage and prosper in the new COVID era, regardless of what the corporations are trying to sell you. Yes, if you go to the Center for Disease Control, this is not a conspiracy. You can look up what the cost is to have a vaccination done. They actually show you what the wholesale is. You can also easily find, it is not hard to find out what it costs when they retail a product. And when you're trying to serve up 3 to 5 billion servings of a product, you can see why it's taken so long for this thing to come online. And when you look at 3 to 5 billion servings of a product, and now they're saying it's not going to be a yearly thing, they're saying it's going to be a quarterly thing, you're talking about anywhere from 25 to 50 trillion dollars in profit. That is something that corporations find irresistible. Now, you're going to have to make that decision. As a collective whole, we're going to have to decide, is this the direction that we are taking humanity? This is the turning point. Once we get past it, if we don't make a decision, we're going to reach what's called the point of no return. So if everybody is prepared for the way life is now, don't expect that things are going to change next month, next year, or even 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. It is not. This is the new normal. My friend Jeffrey Smith is running an amazing 40-day event right now called Magnificent New Normal, where he's got 40 speakers talking about this exact thing. At Turning Point 2020, that's why we're bringing Daryl in. He's a thought leader. He's an innovator. He wants to give the universe and wants to give this planet the tools they need so they can pivot and shift and be successful. That's what this conference is all about. It's about you as an individual, whether you're aware of what's going on or not, whether there's this inner voice inside of you that says, something's not right, but I don't want to say anything. This is our chance to coax you out a little bit, to find your voice and say to you, you're not alone. You can have that brave heart. You can step forward. It's okay. You are not alone. You are in good company. And maybe the message that's inside your head right now that's resonating and telling you what to do, maybe that message is also the same thing that millions of other people are also thinking at the exact same time. How do I survive when the government handouts dry up? How do I survive the hangover that we're going to have to survive? Because you can't just keep printing money forever. At some point, you have to reaccumulate this wealth that you've been giving back out. The only way that's going to happen is by raising interest rates, in my opinion, which means we're going to see the same thing that happened 25, 30 years ago. That's going to be very hard on working families, on the average Joe, the average Jane out there. It's going to be very hard. Those who are deemed essential businesses, you're okay for now, but not forever. Because what Lara was saying is true. This is the corporate takeover. We're seeing it happen live. And for many of us, it's a shock to the system. Turning Point 2020 is our chance for us to soothe out and smooth out these edges and these corners, for you to see transparently through the wall and the fog of war that's happening right now, to make sense of it all, to not be afraid, to turn adversity into advantage.
Thank you, Brian. So let's understand something. So all beliefs are alive. Now, I've said it before, but I need you to get this. All beliefs are alive. So whatever you believe in becomes your focus, becomes your perception. Now, what if that belief is fear, terror, despair? Well, guess what? If you're feeding that, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it engulfs you. Why is it? Is it because Dr. Wolfe is just really stupid? Or is he arrogant? Or has he reached down inside and said, I've got only two choices: to love my life, honor my life, respect my life, okay, and hold the line because I have a right to be here, or I can crap my pants. So I've had to think outside the box just like you. So the deal is you've got to get outside that box, and that is called your subconscious. So let Turning Point be, okay, that which actually greases the wheels to help you to come into what? Your conscious mind and expand it. Expand your mind. You know, I'm going to tell you something right now, and you got to get this. And this happens every day here. You don't have to believe me. You can ask my staff. Almost every day I get a call for somebody who wants to kill themselves. Now understand something. All I got to do is get to the phone, and I just need a few minutes to show that person that it was a thought they had, and they repeated it enough until they were suffocated and there was nothing else left to do. But what happens if we open up the windows and we open up the curtains and we allow the fresh air to come in and we decide that we are unlimited potential instead of we are being limited? Look at corporations, okay? They only got like this because of us. We fell asleep on the job. And guess what? Corporations don't have a beating heart. They don't have a pulse. They have no blood. They don't even have any emotion. They're not human. So the reality is that you better step into being a human being and not a human doing. And that's all I want to say. Brian, is there anything you'd like to say before we bring this to a close?
Well, I would say that if you did crap your pants, don't worry, Dr. Darrell can still make you number one at number two. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing is, if there's one thing left that you can fear, and the last thing that you can ever conquer in this lifetime, it's fear. And so that's what we say. Don't be afraid. Learn what the COVID blessings are. And there are many of them. One of the things right now is that the air and the water is cleaner than it's been in a decade. That's one of the blessings. Two, there are less accidents out there right now because less people are traveling, less people are moving around than ever before. And the other is that we have adopted an online universe, and we can use that. And that pipeline, that ability for millions of eyeballs to be focused at one time around the world and to bring the consciousness and the vibration of this world up, is upon us. And that opportunity is sitting there. And we hope that you do get a ticket and join us for this truly historic event, Turning Point 2020. And Darrell, our members here could not be prouder, and our family of distinguished speakers literally from around the world could not be prouder that you're on board with us. And I can say personally that Dr. Darrell has been instrumental in bringing many of the speakers, these many legendary names, these big names that are known all around the world. Many of them have come on board because of the personal testimonial and the personal effort of Dr. Darrell Wolfe. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, truly, Darrell, from the bottom of my heart, and from all of the other distinguished members here for introducing them to Turning Point 2020 and introducing us to them and getting us the ability to get to them to tell them about this legendary conference. And every single one of them has been so honored and so happy to join this conference. And a lot of that is because of great partnerships like yourself. And we want to thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to your audience today about this legendary conference, Dr. Darrell. Appreciate it greatly.
Thank you, Brian. We'll be talking soon.
Give yourself a stress-free and healthy day.
Thank you, my friend. So here it is. Don't be afraid to take a deep breath, everyone. And don't be afraid anymore. And talk like a Braveheart hero. Say things that you've always wanted to say, okay? And say them to your children. Say them to your wife. Say them to your husband. Say them to your friends. And watch how you change their expression on their face. Watch how they pull their shoulders back. Their chin comes up, okay? The word is so important. And you know what? You can be the blessing today. So let's work on that. So let's get to the show, all right? So I hope you're going to get that ticket, everyone. So think about it and remember something. For what you're paying, if you can't watch the whole thing, guess what? It's still worth it. It's going to be worth a lot. So here it is. We're going to be talking about and answering questions today. This is my regular Q&A, but there's a lot of questions in on the scoop on poop from how to become number one at the art of number two. All right? So let's get one thing really clear, and that is what you think is normal is not normal. Isn't that the craziest thing? What we think is a normal diet is not normal. What we think is a normal way of living is not normal. What we think is a normal way of loving is not normal. That what we think is a normal way of breathing is not normal. We all have limited ourselves. And understand something, I'm talking about that. Constipation is not normal, but it is normal in a society that has dysfunctional beliefs. So here we are. We're going to talk about bowel movements, and we're going to be answering questions as we go through here. Teresa, I have fibromyalgia, loss of muscle, extreme pain, constipation. I had a major heart attack, major malnutrition, and I'm 56 years old. What can I do? Well, first of all, you got to have a poo. If you were to go back, Teresa, and everybody else, if you were to go back into your childhood, you'd find out that you have had bowel problems since day one. You cannot have a diet that isn't 80% whole plant-based, okay, fresh and raw, or just steamed, okay, or doing juicing or doing blender drinks of really great things from the garden and expect to ever have a great poop. You can't eat dead animals and have a digestive tract that's alive. It's not going to happen. And if you do, you can eat animal products, but it's got to be a garnish. It's got to be an hors d'oeuvre. It can't be what they've taught us. Remember something, you got to get this. So your diet was actually put together by corporations. Your bowel movements and the rules of having bowel movements were put together by Big Pharma. So that's why you're in such a big mess. So the reality is just because everybody's doing something or pooing something very little doesn't make it right. So what we want to talk about here is I need everyone to get this. So I'm not always repeating myself, but remember, repetition is the master of all learning, and that's this. Your large intestine is the holy grail. And if you actually were to just say, okay, I am just going to focus on one thing, and what's that? I'm going to have 2 to 3 really good bowel movements every day where I don't have to use a whole roll of toilet paper. I don't have to sit there and read half a chapter of a book. I don't have to grunt and groan and eventually get a hiatal hernia because I've been pushing down on my diaphragm so long to squeeze that nugget out. And understand something, Teresa, I can guarantee you that the fibromyalgia, what does fibromyalgia mean? Oh, yeah, well, let's just give us a big, long word so that the average person, okay, that doesn't go to any type of health training, right, feels like they could never, ever fix themselves. So fibromyalgia, fiber means fiber, muscle. So muscle, fiber, algia means pain. So that means you have a pain in your muscle. It's not a disease. It's a symptom. So fibromyalgia is a symptom, just like chronic fatigue is a symptom. And both of those are main symptoms of a bowel problem. Yeah, but Dr. Wolfe, I go to the bathroom twice a day. Yeah, but it's how it comes out. It's what it looks like. It's what it smells like. I can tell you right now, and I actually looked at the stats. Right now I'm dealing with, excuse me, 5 people with bowel cancer, okay? And 3 of them don't go to the bathroom, but 2 of them go 3 times a day. Now you would say going 3 times a day, they should be okay. But it's not what comes out, it's what stays in that could be your ruin. So fibromyalgia, loss of muscle. Well, loss of muscle. Understand something. Loss of muscle comes when you have loss of immune system and you're so acidic, because now your body is using the muscle to break the muscle down to get the amino acids, because when you are so acidic, you burn up your muscle. You become a piece of beef jerky. You know, especially if you're around the age of 50. You don't lose weight, you lose muscle. That's why anybody the age of 50, let me just say this right now. This is a golden rule. You know, people used to actually go out and work a lot, right? Do more physical things. Well, we don't anymore. So here's the deal. If you were to do 20 minutes of exercise in the morning and then 20 minutes at night, you would have the best body you ever had. Well, especially if you're eating right. If you're not eating right, then you're going to just slow down the progression, okay, of disintegration, okay? So here's the deal. If you get up in the morning, what's the first thing you should do? Well, the bare necessities. The bear will get up and he'll have a big stretch and he'll have a big poop, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But the reality is when you get up in the morning and you do your 20 minutes, you want to stretch first. You want to stretch, and then you want to do maybe some cardiovascular and some toning. What about 5 minutes each? 10 minutes of the stretching and then 5 minutes of the cardio and then 5 minutes of toning. Are you kidding me? That's not much, Daryl. You don't need much. So now we're going to do it again tonight instead of watching Netflix or going and just sitting there and reading longer, okay? Because we need to move it or lose it. And guess what? And when we do move it, sometimes we lose what we don't really want, right? Inside of us. So here's the deal. So at nighttime, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do our cardio and our toning at night, and then the last 10 minutes would be our stretching. Now understand something. You can do whatever you want, guys. But I will tell you that core twisting and rebounding with light weights is probably some of the best exercise you'll do for cardio and for toning. And then for actual stretching, okay, you would do things like go into my DIY guide on my library and take a look at, okay, pelvic activation squats. They're like beyond Thunderdome, because when they gave us the throne, otherwise the toilet, okay, they stole from us. Because if you're not squatting down to pee and poo, okay, then that's the end of you, because you're not opening up your pelvis. We're actually shutting our pelvis. We're actually closed for business. And anybody knows that if you were to squat, boom, here it comes. That's why we used to squat, not we, but women would squat, and that the baby would come out easier. You know, women would never lay down to have a baby, which is not a natural way to have a baby anyways. They only did that because of King Henry, because he had a peek hole through the wall so that he could watch his wife. Go figure. Grow up there, Henry. So anyways, we lost the natural way of birth. We lost the natural way of going to the bathroom. So we need to squat every day. So look at the pelvic activation squats. I call it the actual crab stretch, and it's for your upper body. And then look at the pelvic enhancer, okay? And that's where you have one leg up and one leg down, and you really open things up. Remember something, your lower abdomen and your pelvis is the holy grail of everything. That's where 85% of all the energy comes together, and it's also stored, and then that energy goes into your coccyx, up your spine, and then all that energy comes to the brain to talk to the brain, and then the brain decides what chemicals and hormones are going to come back down through your body. You know, if you don't understand the basics of a human body and what it needs and what it doesn't need, you're never going to get there anyways. All right? So it's really quite basic, okay? Remember something, everything is about a distraction. Everything is about to get you to purchase things and then to get you to purchase them for the rest of your life. You know, that revolving door, drugs, surgery, more drugs, surgery. I mean, it's, you know, the majority of the population has 9.2 surgeries in their lifetime. Go figure, okay? So maybe 1 or 2 of those would actually been all we ever needed because they were from accidents, not from terrible health care, All right. So she has extreme pain. That just means inflammation, but you can't have inflammation unless you have infection. She also says she has constipation, but like I said, she had constipation since she was a little girl. She had a major heart attack because she had a major fart attack because she was reabsorbing the waste into her bloodstream. And that's called leaky gut. But the reality is every manure pile gives off gas. So the gas goes up from your large intestine. It goes up all the way and puts pressure up on your heart. But not just that, it's all the gas that's given off of endobacterium because the good bacteria go bad. Because the majority of the population is supposed to have 85% good bacteria, 15% bad, but it's been flip-flopped around. So now we just have a gas attack. All right? All right. So malnutrition, well, understand something. When you are so toxic that you are rotting, because what happens is that we have root rot first. Root rot means the large intestine's rotting out, and then you get rotten to the core, and that means your core, which is your abdominal area, that's your core, and now you're rotten to the core. So even if you're trying to eat right, but here's the deal. I need you to understand this. I don't care if you're eating organic, but if you eat whenever you're stressed, you poison the food. Let me tell you something. Emotions overrides. Okay, so the invisible overrides the physical. The invisible creates the physical. Now, if you have negative emotions and you're eating a positive food, it will turn it negative. What? What are you talking about? Well, I don't care how organic it is, how healthy it is, but you eat when you're upset, you eat when you're angry, and find out if you don't have cramps, bloating, okay, a headache from that, or stiff joints, okay, you can't do it. So understand, I will tell you this much, Teresa. Here's the deal that I'll tell everyone. So you can set me up because I'm okay with that. We'll do a consultation on you, Teresa, $125. Now, this is not a sales pitch. Who else does this? Nobody else is doing it, so it's not a pitch. $125. We'll do a consultation, and then what'll happen is we'll do an hour. We'll send you the audio, and then my master trainers, or the one who does the consult on you, plus myself, we're responsible to get you where you want to get to. And you have unlimited calling with us. You'll never bother us no matter how much you call. Let me tell you, if we're not going to be there for our brothers and sisters, then let's just leave it alone. Either do the job right or don't do it at all. And if you don't think that the consultation, we follow through on what I just said, we'll give you back your $125 because I've done thousands of them like this. And yes, we do refund here and there. And sometimes I know people might even want a refund because they're tight with money. Well, guess what? That's my gift back to them. So you need to understand something. I am who I am, and I'm not scared of my future, and I want everyone else to start becoming more braver about their future. But unless you have a strategy from when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed, how are you ever going to do this? You cannot band-aid a chronic disease, okay? Okay, Kim, what about, give me 1 second, please. What about people who swear by the carnivore diet? Well, you know what? If you're an O-type, you can digest animal protein better. But understand something. Anybody who swears by the carnivore diet, if they're not getting enough of whole plant-based foods into them, and if they're not getting enough exercise, and they're not getting their bowels to move in, then guess what? They may not feel anything after a while. And then guess what? They're going to wake up one day with a tumor. How's that? And understand something. People who are O-types can eat a carnivore diet. They can eat meat more than A-types. I'm an A-type. And if I eat meat, I could maybe get away with it today. But if I tried to do it again tomorrow, boom, it's going to get me. Because O-types, their hydrochloric acid is stronger. That doesn't mean they need animal protein. It means they can digest it better. They're more from the cave era. I'm not saying they're cavemen or women, but from the cave era. So they can digest animal products better. And the reality is, let me say something. If you're going to eat animal products, you better make sure that you chew it down to very small particles because your digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid can only digest the surface. So what if we got chunks going down, big chunks? Well, then guess what? You've got dead animals putrefying down in your bowels, and nobody wants a carcass rotting inside of them, yes or no? Because that's where the parasites come from, right? When's the last time, if you ever saw someone that was an animal that was dead or anything else, they're full of worms. So the reality is if you want to get worms, then don't chew the meat down to small little particles. So here's the deal. What you want to do is you want to drink your solids, chew your liquids. What does that mean? What do you mean drink your solids? You want to chew it down to the point that it's liquid. And if you do that, then you're not going to have a digestive problem. Listen, people have a digestive problem because they take their emotions, negative emotions, to the table, and then they rush their eating. Okay, eating is a place that is more of a meditation, is a place of gratefulness, a thing of thankfulness. Let me tell you something, and this is the God's truth. I will not eat after 7 o'clock, and if I do, it's watermelon. Okay, so I will not also eat if I'm tired. I will not eat. I will drink, and until my energy comes back, I will not eat. And it's people who are programmed like robots, like we see enough of them right now around this world, that they don't think. They don't think. Just stop and think. If you're exhausted, that means your digestive tract is already in coma. So let it sleep and just give it lots of water or lots of liquid or warm water, or maybe do some juicing or do some watermelon or do a blender drink, but don't do any more than that. Okay, so who swear by carnivore diet? They eat only meat. And if you eat meat, do not mix it with potatoes. Do not mix it with rice. Do not mix it with starch. When you mix a starch and a protein together, the starch enzymes and the protein enzymes neutralize each other, and boom, you're going to blow. So if I'm going to eat a protein, if I were to eat a protein and a starch together, I take 3 hydrochloric acid capsules. That's what I would do, and it's cheap. You can get it from the drugstore or from the health food store. And then what I would do is, for myself, is I have digestive enzymes, and I don't care. Just get yourself a good one, and then take 8. What? 8? It says 2 on the bottle. Well, for me, it's 8. Because if I'm going to eat a meal that I know is going to be hard to digest, here's the deal. You know, I'm such a cheapo that I want everything out of that food, and the only way I can get it is if I use these enzymes to take over for my bad habit of mixing the starch and the protein or eating too late. So now I'm going to take the hydrochloric acid capsules if it's protein in the meal, and then I'm going to take, because it's cooked food, processed food, I'm going to take the enzymes, and guess what? I'm not going to blow up. I'm also going to have a good night's sleep. I'm also going to have a good bowel movement, or maybe 2 of them in the morning. And I'm going to go, yeah, okay, so I kind of went off track, but at least I didn't putrefy. So every time that you bloat, every time you have acid indigestion, every time that you have gas, every time that you feel sluggish after the meal, every time that you fall asleep early, every time that you feel achy after you eat, just know this, you're already in trouble. So you keep doing this and you keep killing yourself, because that's what you're doing. You're killing yourself. Okay, you're eating yourself to death. Oh yeah, but everybody else does it. Yeah, I know, everybody's eating themselves to death. Like, that's not obvious. Go walk around the mall. You know, take a look. You know, you got men that look like they're 12 months pregnant, for God's sakes. And nobody even gives it a second notice because there's too many of us. Too many of them, not us. And I'm not picking on anyone. But the reality is this. When becoming sick, becoming obese, becoming overweight, having diabetes, having heart problems becomes normal. Do you know what people say to me now? Dr. Wolfe, guess what? I'm healthy. And I go, really? And the case history says that they have adult onset diabetes and they have heart problem. And they'll go, yeah, I'm a healthy 50-year-old. And guess what? That's what their doctor says. That's what they feel, because there's so many people like that. And the reality is most people believe that they're healthy because they're not in the hospital. So today you're actually healthy if you take drugs. If you take drugs, you're not healthy. If you take drugs, you're not healthy. Okay, so carnivore diet, they only eat meat. No, they don't. Who just eats meat? They only eat meat, test their blood regularly, and say they feel good and look better than in a long time. I get mixed signals from many people on mostly vegetarian. Well, of course. Well, you know why? Because I don't believe in a vegetarian diet. Because vegetarians eat crackers. They eat pretend cheese. Okay? They eat a lot of garbage foods. Vegetarians aren't healthy people. Whole plant-based diets are full of life. They're full of sunshine. They're full of enzymes. They're full of structured water. Let me tell you something. I eat 80 to 85% of my diet is whole plant-based, okay? Am I lacking energy? Okay, and I don't want to keep saying it, but I'm 64. So does it look like I'm lacking energy? Does it look like I'm on my way out? Or does it look like I need retirement? Okay? So the reality is I don't believe in vegetarianism because vegetarianism is not a healthy way to go. All right. Um, so let's take a look here. It's better, but some love carnivore. How do we know? Well, first of all, let me just say this. I don't want to argue with anybody. I stopped arguing with people a long time ago. If you want your meat, then let's just try to food combine properly and let's try to support the rules of digesting. Okay, let's quit rotting. Okay, if your armpits smell, if your breath smells, if your stool smells, if it's hard to come out, or if it comes and it comes out of you like a rock and goes right to the bottom of the toilet, or you got to squeeze it out. You know what? I don't grunt and groan. It's like, oh, I got to go to the washroom. Oh, I sit down. Boom. Okay, I wipe. Okay, got this. Wash hands. Here we go. That's it. Okay, that's it. But the reality is, if you were raised in a family and your father and your mother went into the bathroom and they were in there for 10 minutes, then you think that 10 to 15 minutes is how long you are there. And understand something, I've got employees that work for me in my clinic right now that go to the bathroom that are in there for 10 minutes, right? They know that they could learn better. They know that they could take our daily cleansing tea. But do they do it? No, they don't do it. Why don't they do it? Because it's all programming. Everything is programming. And the thing is, you know what? You can't lead a horse to water, the old saying. And the reality is I'm not going to, people don't change unless they want to change. And, there's two types of pain. Pain that alters you. Okay, whoa, I think I need to change here. And the pain that's just going to destroy the rest of your life. Because most people believe that if they're not in pain, they're not alive. And that's what most people are like today. If I'm not in pain, I'm not alive. But the reality is pain is a GPS, and I've learned how to master it. And would you like to? That's the bottom line. Okay, so Kimberly, hi, Dr. Wolfe. I take many supplements, and many have for many years. If I take your products, do I need to continue my supplements? Well, the reality is, again, I have a product that's called Sinonian Minerals, and that has 147 different nutrients, minerals. It has minerals, enzymes. It has coenzymes. It has vitamins in it and antioxidants. So that kind of covers the basis of it. I would really take a look at Daily Cleansing Tea, Tummy Loving Black Gold. That's your digestive tract. What's it worth to you to have a good digestive tract? That's the highway of life. And then I'd look at maybe curcumin cayenne 5000. It's inexpensive, keep the inflammation down. And then if you really wanted to rock your world, take a look at SAC calcium. There's a really good place to start, but do you drink structured water? Do you structure your water? Okay, and do you food combine? And do you have whole plant-based diet? And do you exercise at all? And do you have blue light poisoning? And do you turn your Wi-Fi off before you go to bed? And have you gotten rid of all your walk-around phones? And do you have everything plugged around the bed unplugged? Do you put your phone on airplane mode? There's just basic rules that we need to look after. So today you got to be a detective, okay? Because reality is this. You can believe it or not believe it. But the reality is the psycho elite, okay, have been feeding off of us and actually eating us to death, okay, and poisoning us to death. And they're going to continually do it until we take our planet back. So the reality is, okay, that you got to wake up. You got to become your own detective, and you got to say no more. You know what? The craziest thing is that, the majority of the population actually believes that their government and these elite people are going to have a change of heart. We won't get into that today. Tracy, what can I do for sciatica? Well, the reality is with sciatica is this. Now, you're not going to want to hear it. I'd say about 5 to 10% is actually maybe from an accident or a sports injury. I'll tell you what the rest is. The rest is constipation. So here's the deal. You want to see? I'll show you. Okay. So take a look at this. Okay. All right. So this here is your hips. This is your pelvis. Okay. This is where your ovaries are, your uterus is, your bladder is, your prostate. Okay. And this is where the large intestine comes down and becomes a sigmoid, colon, then comes down here. Well, why do you think that most people have low back problems? Why do you think L4, L3, L4, L5 always has all those problems? Well, that's because you've been absorbing waste because you're constipated right in this area. And the actual infection creates the inflammation that causes the bone displacement, the scar tissue, and the crystallization in here. Now, if you take a look back here, okay, you see these 2 points right here? Okay, okay. So these two tuberosities right here, the sciatic nerve comes out here and runs here, comes down, okay, and then comes out through here. Now the reality is from the infection coming from your large intestine, we get inflammation. Okay, first of all, where do you think all the infection must come from? Okay, you can't have inflammation without infection. Okay, you can't have mutation without inflammation for a long time that has been eating up all the oxygen. I mean, did you ever go into a barn and a pig barn? I have. I mean, I was raised on a farm. You could go into a pig barn, and until you get used to it, you could almost choke, okay, because there was not enough oxygen in there, okay? So that's the same thing that happens in your body if you start reabsorbing your own waste, which most everybody does because everybody thinks they have good bowel movements. So the reality is from all of that, so if you want to get rid of the sciatica, you've got to get your bowels moving properly. You've got to have 2 to 3 good bowel movements a day and reduce the inflammation in that pelvic girdle. But what happens if the nerve, okay, because that's the problem, the nerve and the sheath that the nerve runs through, like the nerve runs through a sheath, right? So a sheath is on here covering the whole thing. What if that became crystallized and inflamed? What if that had scar tissue and now the nerve doesn't slide through nice and smooth like it's supposed to? Well, that means when you go to put your leg down, that you're going to feel that pull up there. Or guess what? If you went and you sat in a car, you go to get up, it's sticky, so it's frozen. So guess what? I'll tell you right now, anybody that has a sciatica problem, they come to us, the first treatment, I will give you a money-back guarantee that it does more than any other treatment you've ever done. If you go to my A to Z Masterclass, which is go to my library, go to the library, go in there, click on A to Z guide. Right now the masterclass is free. Go into the A to Z Masterclass and watch the video or read the first 50 pages, and then go take a look at low back and sciatica, and then look at what we say to do, how we go in with Wolfe Non-Surgical using an elbow technique I put together when I was 26 years old. Hey, look at, I'm the only person on the World Wide Web that I know of that gives a money-back guarantee on their treatments, that we will do more in the first treatment than all the other treatments combined, okay? And that you can reverse any type of hip or bone or muscle condition. See, we've been taught that the body forgot how to heal. Understand something, 150 years ago they knew it could, but today we can't because we were actually programmed by the oil industry. What do you mean the oil industry? Well, the oil industry is actually big pharma. So we were programmed by them that the body forgot how to heal itself, and that when you've got bone on bone, you need to get your hip replaced, you need to get your knee replaced, you need to get rods in your spine, you need to get mesh put in your pelvis. No, I'm not buying it, okay? So it's one thing to be able to just say something like this, but then it's another thing to back it up. And understand, I'll back that up, but just know that you're backed up, okay? So what do you want to do for sciatica? Well, take a look at the pelvic activation squats. Go slowly. You also want to do the pelvic enhancer. That's where you have your one leg up on the side of the door, and the other leg is hanging down, and you're on some chairs. If you go into my DIY, look at the pelvic enhancer, and you're going to start slow. You might have to have the leg that you're hanging on a chair because you might feel like your pelvis is going to tear out. Well, that's because you're so full of scar tissue. You've got a big block of like a fibroid in there. Not yet, but you have all this webbing of scar tissue, crystallization, and displaced calcium. And that's why it feels like it's going to tear. Because you remember when you were younger, you could do the splits. Okay? But now you would just split wide open. But you could actually, at any age, you should be able to go back and do the splits. And it's all about circulation. And it's all about microcirculation. You've lost your circulation because now, guess what? You're crystallized, calcified, and you're full of scar tissue. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If you want to work with me, we'll reverse it. I don't care if you've got a cane or a walker or you're in a wheelchair. I don't care if you're in a bed. If you've got the drive and the passion, you're going to get out of there. And understand something. There's a lot of people that are walking right now that are so unhealthy. The only reason why they're still walking is the scar tissue is wrapped around their joints. So it's just like beef jerky to keep them up. And the body will make it when you don't have any muscle because you didn't eat right. You know what? It's one thing to tell me that I'm full of it. There's one thing to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't see a lot of other people offering a money back guarantee. And this is not because we're hard up. This is because we want you to know that your body will heal itself. And we want to teach you what we know so that you will become the practitioner for yourself and your family. And understand, as long as you think that going for treatment somewhere is called a health protocol on this planet, you are going to be in pain for the rest of your life. So unless you want to master your mind and your body, Tracy, really, and find out why that was caused, I'm telling you right now, Tracy, we can turn this around. That's the end of the story on that one. Saros, Dr. Wolfe, what can you do for ringing in the ears? Well, go to the library, click on Do It Yourself, and in there it's Ear Restore. I show how to do the whole thing. You're going to use Ear Restore oil. You're going to use Silver Bullet liquid. You're going to use Fulvic Bright Eyes eye drops. You're going to use a clapper or your hand, and I show you how to do the clapping. I show you how to do a hot soak on here as well. Go take a look. Understand that, okay? And understand, if you're not turning the Wi-Fi on when you go to bed, shame on you. And if you're not drinking enough water, shame on you. And understand something. The ringing can be caused because of a few different things. But we do know that scar tissue and inflammation is a big part of the problem. So let's start working on that, okay? But understand this. We've helped people with ringing tens of thousands. We've helped people who couldn't even hear out of their ears that they can hear. Now you can say, well, prove it. Well, why don't you go take a look at my testimonials? It's on my testimonials. I show where people have lost their hearing. Over the years, they've lost their hearing completely. And I have one lady from England that I worked on it only a half an hour, and she had no hearing for over a year, and that was 2 years ago, and she completely still can hear. So what do you think of that? Getting whooshing sounds at times, and everything sounds real loud. I'm heading into menopause. Well, okay, first of all. So the reality is you're not heading into menopause. Yes, your period's starting to slow down, and it will eventually stop. Menopausal symptoms are only exaggerated in constipated women, and women that are not talking that you don't go to the bathroom. I'm telling you that you've never went to the bathroom properly. You know what? Even if you're a young girl and you've got painful period and it puts you into bed, it's because all of the worst toxins are coming down and they're all flowing down to the vaginal canal to come out. And because you're already toxic in your pelvis, it's overload. So now you've got the spasms and you got the pain. It's the same thing with menopause. So now the period's starting to slow down and eventually it's going to stop. And guess what? Your body's going, what the heck are we going to do with all this now? Now we don't have the period that's getting rid of the worst toxins, because now what are we going to do? Well, I don't know. We're already backed up. So now guess what we're going to do? Let's give them night sweats. Yeah, because we can get rid of some of the toxins that way. We can give them flash fevers, right? Okay. So that's what happens, isn't it? Oh, wow. I'm always hot. I'm always hot. Okay. I'm getting night sweats all the time. I'm getting headaches. I'm exhausted. Well, you got to get the cork out and you got to go and clean your liver out. And that's the reality. You know, the period is a pain, but I know it's a blessing. That's why women can handle more pain. That's why they live longer. It's the God's truth. That's why they do. And then when that period stops, they're getting rid of the worst toxins every month, and now they're staying inside them. So now there has to be a readjustment in the body, and the body's going, what the heck do we do? Well, okay, so there's like, let's say there's about, there's a few of us doing a job, right? Half of them leave because the period's really important. So half of the people leave, and now we got to pick up the slack. Well, until we figure out how we're going to do it, we're going to back up, and we're going to have some things go down. All right? I'll be talking more about that in the I Am Woman Masterclass that I'm putting out. I also talked about that, I think, in the Art of Number One. I did talk about it. Okay? James, how do you help neuropathy, especially the numbness? Well, first of all, James, neuropathy is caused because of displaced calcium, crystallization, and scar tissue. And it usually happens in the feet and in the lower legs. Because guess what? The sediment and all those toxins and crystallization and toxins, they're going down and they're not being eliminated, okay? So as everything is staying down there, and you know what you're getting what's called stump leg. And what happens is, there's no circulation happening. It's like a tree stump. So the reality is you can turn this around. You got to take a look at your diet. You got to get into doing clapping. Okay, if you go to my library, click on the clapping guide, go in there and look at that. And guess what, guys? Just so you know, within 10 days, I'm going to have a 2-hour preparation video on how you can get going and start clapping. I'm so busy right now, but that video is going to be probably in there. What do you think? 10 days, 2 weeks, buddy? What do you think, Drake? 2 weeks it'll be in there. So that video is going to show you how to clap your body. It's going to tell you all the rules. And then in about a month from now, I'm going to be going and showing you every body part. And I'm going to be actually clapping every body part. But don't wait for me. Take massive personal action, because you've been waiting for a hero. You've been waiting for a savior. You've been waiting for a practitioner to save you. You are the hero. Okay? So go take a look at that. But I would tell you, James, to get a Perfect Day consult, we can do this together. But you're going to have to clap, James, because you're going to have to clap. And when you start clapping, you're going to start seeing bruising on your legs. But guess what? The clapping doesn't bruise you. That's all the rotten tissue, disintegrating tissue. Healthy people don't bruise. Did you ever notice that? I could bang into that wall hard. I'm not going to bruise. Okay? Really sick people bruise without banging anything. That's because they're the walking dead. So people that bruise easily, we know that they've got a blood disease, they've got tissue disease. That's what it is, guys. So when you clap, you're actually bringing the disease to the surface. When you see the purple, when you see the purple or the black or the green or the brown, they all mean things. And I teach you in this 2-hour preparation class for learning how to clap. And like I said, 2 weeks, it'll be in the clapping guide. But if you go to the clapping guide right now, I've got an hour and a half in there that you can at least get started. And if you want, you can go online and you can order yourself a clapper. You want to use just your hand, go right ahead. But if you have a clapper, it makes it so much easier, okay? And it's not very expensive. And understand something. You want to unleash the power to heal, you want to get clapping, okay? So neuropathy is basically displaced calcium, scar tissue, and crystallization. Norma, what can my son do about polyps? Well, polyps in his nose, that's a fungal problem. And it's a wart. I like to call that a wart. And polyps grow, okay, where the environment is very toxic, low vibrational. Okay, so let's just know that. Your son doesn't eat well, I can tell you that much. Your son also has really bad bowel problems, or he wouldn't have polyp problems. And you better get him to get off of dairy, because that's another thing that's not going to be really good. He's only 20 years old, yeah, and his diet has got to be horrendous. You don't grow polyps, which are like mushrooms, which we can call warts, in your nose or in your bowel or anywhere else, unless the environment is totally toxic. And also, Norma, how's he doing emotionally? You don't grow polyps if you are emotionally high vibrational person. And you know, some people are out there going, who does he think he is? Well, I'll tell you something. I'm a guy that's been doing this for 40 years. And high vibrational people, happy people, usually aren't sick. High vibrational people usually don't have a disease. But you can have people that fake that they're happy. That happens a lot. But the reality is, we are light energy beings. End of story. End of story. That's it. There's no debate here. The science is in. We are light energy beings. And that's what gives us everything. Why do you think they're throwing all this darkness at us with this COVID thing? The darker they make it, the less energy we have, the more depressed we feel. Okay? All right? And that's why you got to become the light for yourself. You got to become your own cheerleader. Okay. Anyways, Norma, if you want, get your son to call me. My extension's number 5. I'll talk to him. I swear, I'll talk to him and we'll have a little chat. And I'll tell you right now, his diet's not good. But you already know that, don't you, Norma? Antoinette, someone tried to sell me a Kangen unit, but they are way out of my budget. Is it really necessary if I just buy a structured water unit? No, I don't believe it is. A Kangen person will tell you it's necessary. And I don't have a Kangen unit. And I do have 2 units that are like Kangen units. I haven't hooked them up yet. And I only have a structure unit, but that's just me, and it's just personal preference. I'm not telling you that I think that I'm the expert of experts. Understand? Because people are getting well using Kangen water. But understand something. People are getting well all over the world from constipation to cancer with a structure unit. And a structure unit is about, I don't know, 1/10 of the price. And it never breaks down, never wears out, and it's good for life. I will give you a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it, just send it back. Ruth, can we use essential oils internally? Yes, there are oils that you can use internally. And I will tell you there is, because I do use them internally. Am I going to tell people to do it? Well, yeah, there are oils. It is food. It is a concentrated food, okay? And if you take a look at our oils, and I'm going to tell you right now, we've been making our own oils since I was 28 years old, okay? So anyways, the person who actually put Young Living together, we used to do lectures together, and I've been doing my own oils since then. And understand something. I will tell you right now that we have the best oils that I think on the planet, and the pricing is also better because it's not a multi-level, and it's also in Egyptian glass, which means that these oils will stay fresher 5 years longer, and radiation cannot get through to damage the oils. So when you're traveling, they're radiation proof. Lighthouse, does structured water keep its structure if we boil or freeze? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Isn't that something? Okay. Georgia, structured water, so far we found that structured water will actually retain its structuring for 9 years, because we've actually put water away 9 years ago, and every year that water gets tested. Georgia, what would cause upper stomach dull pain that shoots off to the middle left? Stomach pain shoots off to the left. Well, it's not stomach pain. To the left side, then it's stitch under the skin. No, that's gas, okay, and that's constipation. And that's 95% of the time. So I could be wrong, but understand something. Think about this, guys. On the left side, okay, is the last 2 feet. The last 2 feet of your large intestine. So if it's the last 2 feet, and we know that water gets absorbed from the poop, and if we didn't drink enough water, and if we didn't eat enough fiber, then it took too long to get through, then the water would be reabsorbed more than we wanted it to be. So by the time it would make that last corner, and that's called a splenic flexure, which is just underneath your ribs, guess what? That's where you get most of the gas, and that's why you get that pinch. Get your bowels moving better, and then tell me that that's gone. CT scan results showed no issue on kidneys, liver, spleen, adrenals. The inflammation persists. Yes, it does. And so does your constipation. Yeah, but I do go to the washroom. It's not what comes out, it's what stays in. And I'll bet money on this. And let me tell you something. 99.9% of the time, it's always about this. But no, guess what? Do you know what I just told you? You don't have, okay, not you, but the majority of the population now believes the body can't heal itself. The majority population believes that a symptom is a bad thing when it's your body going, hey, I love you. Could you please get back on track and stop eating the Cheetos, the donuts? Could you food combine properly? Do you think maybe you could drink more than a quart of water a day? Do you think that it could be structured? Do you think that maybe you could breathe a little deeper? Do you think that maybe? So understand this. From constipation to cancer. You ready for this? Ready? Cancer is constipation. It's cellular constipation. Now you got cellular constipation because you had so much constipation and you were dumping waste into your body, okay? You constipated the cells. Now the cells can't, the oxygen got cut down by at least 35% for just a few days. That's all you got to do to mutate the cell. The cell says, I don't want to die. Well, what's the alternative? Well, we got to turn into cancer until this person gets the answer. All right. Layla, anyone on the fence about getting consultation, do it. It was the best thing I did for me and my family. Dr. Wolfe and his staff are bar none the best. I call and bug him all the time, and he's always makes time to talk to me. Much love, appreciating Dr. Wolfe. You guys rock. Oh, well, that's sweet. Thank you. Dawn, and that, no, but that really is sweet. You know, hardly anybody ever, you know, the thing is about when you're in the health business, people usually don't call you and tell you things like that. They usually call you and tell you other things like it's the end of the world as they know it. And I understand that, and that's what we're here for. But the reality is we like that stuff. That's nice to hear. Thank you so much. Dawn, my joints started aching while in a terrible relationship. Of course. Well, guess what? Okay, terrible relationship. Okay, so here. Great relationship, parasympathetic state means I'm relaxed. I'm at peace. I don't feel threatened by my partner. Isn't that cool? So now I'm dumping dose, which is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, and I'm in love. Okay? Now, I feel threatened. I feel threatened in this relationship. So guess what? When you feel threatened, you're triggering your adrenals, so you're dumping adrenaline. If that goes on too long, you dump cortisol. And remember something, you're only supposed to dump the adrenaline and the cortisol for the tiger. So the reality is that imaginary tiger, like their corporations are getting you right now, aren't they? The government, oh, we're coming for you. We're going to knock your door down and we're going to steal your children. Oh, you know what? Back off. Back off. We've had enough now, okay? So the thing is in a relationship, if you're being terrorized, okay, say no more. Love yourself. Love yourself enough to draw the line. And if you stay in a toxic relationship, whether it's with your government, a corporation, your children, your husband, your wife, or your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you're the one that's disrespecting yourself. When you learn to respect yourself and say no more, right, you'll bring your vibration up. That which has been terrorizing you is going to leave. So understand, you go ahead and dump the adrenaline and the cortisol, and what does it do? It causes inflammation. Inflammation causes scar tissue formation, causes displaced calcium from your bones to try to keep the pH okay so that you don't get cancer. And now you crystallize because of the adrenaline and the cortisol. So that's why you've got joint problems, right? And you're not flexible. You're not flexible. So you're not flexible up here either, right? So being flexible means, wow, I should pick a new way of thinking. Maybe I should try to love myself well. Maybe I should demand that nobody can scare me anymore, and I'm not going to allow anybody into my environment to do that. And I'm going to stop scaring myself too. Because believe it or not, whether you like this or not, a lot of people out there, guess what? They are so addicted to getting high on adrenaline, okay? And they're killing themselves. And you know what? We don't even know it. It's a subconscious program that we're running. But we don't just terrorize ourselves, we terrorize our family. And then guess what? The whole family starts doing it, and guess what? People think that's normal. Well, the new normal for me is to find peace no matter what chaos is going on, and to say no, and to feel my way through life, not use my subconscious. And you definitely don't want to use your subconscious till you totally love yourself. When you've been programmed to hate yourself, which we have, when you've been programmed to kill yourself, which we do, you know, you can't trust yourself, can you? So you got to come from your heart. You got to come from your feelings. You got to put a little mini you on your shoulder and stand guard and just know that you are love. But the reality is like I said before, the subconscious is 90% of your brain. So we got sucker punched because the subconscious just hates anything new, even if it's going to save your butt. So unless you're going to use the art of repetition and focus only on what you want. So while you're clear of thought, maybe you might want to make a list and hold that list in your wallet. Then when you start to feel fearful, pull out and go, oh, there's my list of what I need to focus on. Get back onto the list. And that's what it takes. Whether you want to believe this or not, guys, okay, I'll tell you what. How could a small group actually tie the whole world into a knot and a bow? Because they strategize. Did you strategize? Did you strategize from the minute you woke up until you went to bed? Did you tell yourself that you're worthy to be here just as much as anybody else? They still ache after breaking up 5 months ago, but there was still contact between us till 6 weeks ago. So you know what? We all come from some kind of emotional, physical abuse in our families. And that's been bred into us. We're good people. we just have dysfunctional beliefs. You know, human beings are really good people. They got dysfunctional beliefs. I mean, we fought for the elite. We'll go to other countries and kill people we don't know, just on a made up story. This is why we're in this mess. The reality is this: is you know what, you until 6 weeks ago you were still in contact with him. Well, that's, you know what, you had to get your Cummins. You know, I'm unworthy. This is about as good as it's going to get. Who would love me? And that's just a story you tell yourself. Understand something. You're beautiful. Whoever you are, you're beautiful. You're just telling yourself, Dawn, the wrong story. That's it. I don't even know you, Dawn, and I love you. The reality is, Dawn, is that, you know, you picked someone that you were used to. So, believe it or not, somewhere in your lifetime, you had the perception that this guy was love. So you kept on that horse. So you got to fall in love with yourself. Once you fall in love with yourself and truly love yourself, nobody else is going to be able to disrespect you again. And you'll never disrespect another person, because loving oneself is the greatest gift of all. Okay? Whitney Houston's song, she couldn't love herself. She wrote one of the most beautiful songs and sang one of the most beautiful songs that I could love in my whole life. And you know what? She couldn't even do the song that she wrote. So I didn't say it was easy. But if she would have loved herself, like she said, loving yourself is the most beautiful gift you'll ever give yourself, she would not have died. She would not have been on drugs trying to hide away from who she was or the world. The hardest thing you'll ever do is believe that you deserve the best. Let me tell you something. I am so grateful for what I have, and I will never be happy or satisfied with my potential because it's unlimited. And I will grow because I know I got to grow consciously. And if I grow consciously, then I will heal and I will stay healed. What do you recommend? Yeah, probably still toxic thoughts about him. Yeah, what I would recommend is come and take my whole life coach certification course. Actually, everyone, I've got 2 openings in November because a couple people couldn't come. So anybody out there interested in Wolfe Non-Surgical or Wolfe or whole life coach certification or coming for both, please let me know. There's 2 spots. And then we have another course in January, and I think there's 6 spots left. And then as soon as they decide to stop playing the boogeyman, we'll be into Texas and Florida and Mexico doing courses as well. Marciella. Oh, wait. I'm just going to say this last thing. Yeah. So, Dawn, all right, did you ever write down who you're looking for? You're looking for someone that'll hold the line with you and make sure that you don't talk bad about yourself, and find someone that will hold the line with you, and that your focus is on just how beautiful your life can be, and then coming together, 2 spirit partners coming together for the adventure of a lifetime, you know? And the thing is this, in a relationship, you've got to be able to talk to your partner really well and do the couples connection, everyone. Go take a look at my Braveheart and do the couples connection where you get on the floor, he spreads his legs, she comes really close facing him, you put your arms around each other and you're looking in each other's eyes, and do that for 10 minutes. Most people, they've been together for 50 years, haven't looked inside each other's eyes for more than 20 to 30 seconds. Yeah. You want to renew a relationship? Look inside each other's eyes for 10 minutes and do that for 33 days and find out what happens. Anyways, don't try to do it with him, Dawn, because you can't change people. And the problem is, Dawn, is now you're changing. The reality is you're changing, and you decided that you deserve more and you want more. So the reality is, if you stay with him, it'll kill you. Before, it was good enough because, Dawn, that was as good as it was going to get, because that's all your subconscious said that you deserved. But now Dawn's going, hey, this has altered me. The pain, the suffering, there's got to be better. I'd rather be alone than be with someone. Well, you don't need to be alone, but you need to be alone with yourself long enough to learn how to love yourself and then be with another person. And then you just built yourself a rocket ship, girl. Marciela, what can I do if my belly button smells? Well, Marciela, your belly button smells because you're leaking waste from your large intestine, and that's called leaky gut. Okay, so I would do belly button therapy, and I'd get daily cleansing tea, tummy love, and black gold, and I'd take a look at doing coffee enemas too. Okay, so listen, everyone, there's our coffee. We get our own made. This is probably, I know it is. This is the best coffee enema coffee that you're ever going to use. And I'll tell you something right now. We searched this out for over 2 years. And you use a coffee enema bucket and take a look at how to do it in my perfect day guide. And if you also go to my perfect day guide, everyone, go take a look at the perfect day from the minute you wake up until you go to bed on a nutrition level, a diet level, an exercise level, and an emotional level. There's the 4 pillars. And it's there, and it's for you free. Go take a look at it. And then if you want us to design one, then have a perfect day consult. And here's the daily cleansing tea, which everyone should be taking every day, twice a day, for the rest of your life. And you would kiss 85 to 95% of your pain and suffering on a physical level goodbye. And then I would also take a look at tummy love, because if you really want to restore the good bacteria in your bowels, okay, I would take tummy love. And the other thing that tummy love does is it's the greatest heavy metal detoxifier, and it also captures viral, bacterial, and fungal and takes it out of the body, as it captures heavy metals and acidity as well. But it also feeds the good bacteria, mummy's good bacteria, in your bowel to restore that. And then we have black gold, which is a powder that you can mix with your coffee, or you can mix it with your blender drinks, or you can mix it in with soups, okay? But you can't mix it with water. It's really hard. And you want to do that maybe once, twice a day, and that'll go through and really help to do the same thing in the way of heavy metals and grabbing nutrition and helping to bring down the acidity throughout the digestive tract. All right? Okay, where are we here? Jane, I had my spleen removed 34 years ago. Is that a problem? I don't think so, Jane. The problem is, Jane, do you know how to do the perfect day on an emotional and physical level? That's the only problem. If you can get that nailed and you understand that you need to become your own practitioner, that you are the light of the world, and that you need to bring in as much sunshine in your diet as possible, and you need to wear a slight smile and stay connected to your breath and know that you will never be sucked in by drama again, okay? You know, you can believe this or not believe this, but love is not the answer. If everybody on this planet totally loved themselves, they wouldn't let anybody dishonor themselves. And you're going to tell me that if you totally loved yourself, that you would dishonor others? Are you like cuckoo? That's such cuckoo thinking. People that love themselves love life. People that don't love themselves don't love life. And people that are in pain, okay, hurt people hurt people. That's what they do, don't they? Okay. 16, what's the best water to drink? I think structured water, but that's just my personal opinion. There's other ways to go to the top of the mountain. Do your research and pick the water you want, okay? Katie, hello. Firstly, thank you. I've been referred to you from an amazing friend in regards to menopause. I have just been informed I'm going through it. Yeah, well, we're going to go through it someday. Men go through menopause too. They do. Not like women. I didn't say that. Women have so many more bells and whistles, and they need them because they're the canary in the coal mine, because they bring life into this world. Why do you think men attack women so badly? Why do you think there's so many surgeries for them? Okay? Girls, wake up. Stay away from men. Stay away from surgery. Really, wake up. Your body's amazing. Once you realize that it's an inflammation, scar tissue formation, calcification, crystallization issue, you can turn this around, okay? Let me tell you something. Why do you think you got so full of fibroids? Why do you think you have bladder infections all the time? Because you're reabsorbing your own waste. Why do you think you've got cysts on your ovaries? Because you need a storage tank for all the pus. Why do you think you have endometriosis? Because you've got spider webs of scar tissue wrapped around your pelvis. I mean, if you don't believe me, put your hand down on your pubic bone, you'll feel like a hump. If there's a hump there, then you're already in big trouble, because it's not supposed to be. You're not even supposed to be able to feel your pubic bone. I meant your pubic bone. My pubic bone's completely flat. I have to push down to find it. If you go in there and you've got a hump on it, then guess what? You've already got trouble in your pelvis. All right? I have noticed the changes in my body shape, mainly my stomach. Well, of course, because it's always been your stomach, and it's not your stomach. Your stomach is up underneath your ribs, so you didn't notice any changes in your stomach. You were taught that that is your stomach. Oh, that's a distraction. Isn't it kind of funny how everybody calls their large intestine their stomach? That's right. It's not your stomach. It's your large intestine. It is the 85% of your immune system. It is your compost. It is your garden. And you've made it into a cesspool. And now you're reabsorbing that waste and you're poisoning yourself. There. My body shape, mainly my stomach, which seems to have just popped out. Well, your stomach can't pop out, dear. It's under your ribs. And I'm not trying to be smart here. You know what? They gave you a manual and they said, here, this is your health manual. Good luck. And the whole thing is full of deception. Okay, it was written by Big Pharma. It was written by food corporations. Okay, all right. Can you help with this? Oh my gosh, girl. We can kiss that tummy goodbye. Just get on the Daily Cleansing Tea Tummy Love Black Gold for a starter. And then if you don't believe me, just watch how it starts to bring it down. You got your own little manure pile in there that's gassing off. So you go up and down like an accordion. Whoop, 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 whoop. You know, like there's an alien living in there, because there is. Because when you've got a manure pile, you've got fungus, you've got worms, you've got bad bacteria, and they're all pooping, throwing up, and they're making gas. Okay, so you're up and you're down, and you're up and you're down. Am I right or am I wrong? Okay. So, but we can turn all that around. I would get a perfect day consult, whether you guys believe this or not. Every consultation that when somebody fills out a form, I go over it with my master consultants, and I get the forms. I take a look. We talk about it. What would we do in this situation? Then they do an hour consult. You get the audio, and then you can come to me and you can come to them. My extension's number 5. I'm not hiding out here. Okay? All right. Belinda, both my children have mild Asperger's, okay, and autism spectrum disorder. Wish I knew about the effects of vaccines sooner rather than later. What can I do for them? Well, right off the bat, the biggest thing is about with that type of illness. Oh, you're just going to go, you know what, darling? I just figured out something. Dr. Wolfe doesn't know anything except one thing. Everything he just says it's a bowel problem. Well, with your children, they've got bowel problems. So you need to really look at getting them on a whole plant-based diet as much as high vibrational. High vibrational, that's what they need, because their vibration was destroyed from the vaccination. It was lowered way down, okay? So you need to bring the vibration up. I'm not talking about the energy levels right now, but we do want to bring their energy up to calm them down, okay? But you got to get their bowels moving really good. So take a look at that. And remember, all of the products that we have at Doc of Detox, children can have as well. And listen, Belinda, just call me. Give me a call tomorrow. I'm open tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. I'll be taking lots of calls. So if people call me, I'm going to get back to everybody by Friday night. Did you hear what I said? I don't know how I do it, but I do it. Okay. Kim, how do we detox the vaccines' negative effects? Okay, really. You know, I'd like to do a whole show on this sometime, but I will tell you this, that you got to start with the large intestine and you got to do the liver. So if you're willing to do like the Daily Cleansing Tea, Tummy Love Black Gold, and then willing to go in and do like coffee enemas, okay, advanced coffee enemas. It's called the Ultimate Coffee Enema. You'll see it in the perfect day, because you got to purge that liver. So let's get the cork out of our bum. Let's change the filter. So cork out of bum, change filter. Got it? First thing. Because we fill from the bottom up toxic-wise. That's why when you get COPD and you get lung problems, that's because you had bowel problems for a long time. Okay? So you gotta detoxify. So as you pull the cork out, you start to drain. That's right, because most things will dump into the large intestine or dump into the liver easier. Okay, so that it can be detoxed. So if you can get into the colon cleansing, get into the liver cleansing, that's the first place. Also, look at advanced water fasting. Advanced water fasting unleashes the stem cells. Take a look at the SAC calcium as well. Look at the Tummy Love, Fulvic, and Humic products that we have. But remember something. Anything that goes into your body that's high vibrational kicks out lower vibrational things. Everything is about energy medicine. So let me ask you a question. Do you take massive action with your happiness? Do you take massive action and wear a slight smile on your face? Wherever you go and whoever you talk to, do you actually leave smiles? Do you leave compliments? Do you make people feel better by the time you leave the room, or are you making them feel worse? When you come into a room, are you that ray of sunshine? Well, understand something. That's the greatest healing right there. Okay? All right? So, where do we get our energy from? Okay? Ourselves. No, ourself. Ourselves. Selves. No. Ourselves and ourselves. That's right. So, as soon as you start really looking how you act, all right? Because the way you physically are, putting your shoulders back, your chin up, a slight smile on your face, walking around with confidence, that's not called cocky. That's called confidence. Okay? Things will change. And taking a look at your mind and going, yeah, my mind is like a river. That's what Dr. Wolfe said. And a lot of things will float down the river. And just because it's floating down the river of my mind doesn't mean I should grab it or hold on to it. It doesn't mean it's mine. Somebody could have thrown it in the river, upriver. And that's what they do. That's what corporations do. That's what the media does, right? It throws all kinds of garbage into the river and tries to get you to purchase it, to own it. Let it float by. It's crap. Let crap float by. Let go. Learn to let go. Kim, how do we detox vaccines' negative effects? Kim, I would really, if you want to give me a call, I'll go over some things. If you're going to call me though, Kim, I'd like you to do me a favor and just, write your symptoms down and we'll talk about them, because everybody's going to have different symptoms. Okay. Now, why is that? Well, because there's different vaccine mixtures with different toxins in them. And also, people have different diets, and they also have different personalities, because your personality decides your reality. Oh, yeah? It does. Listen, there's people that have certain personalities. I look at them and go, oh, you're beautiful, but I could never live with you. So the reality is not that I'm looking for someone to live with. I'm just saying the reality is hanging around with someone or being someone's friend, or, you know what I mean? You get to know someone. Oh, no, I can't handle that. So the reality is that your personality does create your reality. Are you willing to change parts of your personality? Because I can guarantee you, the parts of your personality that are really screwing up your life, they're not you. They're not you. You just think they're you because you've been acting like that long enough. Because you actually took on that belief a long time ago that you can't even remember when you took it on. It's just that it's a main belief now, but that main belief is actually ruining your life. Rose, I have Helicobacter pylori, a type of bacteria that enters your body and lives in your digestive tract. There you go, guys. And guess what? It doesn't enter your body. Sorry, it doesn't. It actually grows in your body because there was stagnant waste and inflammation that actually created a vibration that actually caused the bacteria to develop. So that's the truth. Very bad stomach pain, like a hole in my stomach, burning. Yeah, okay, so what can't you digest? Who's making you sick to your stomach? So on an emotional level, we have that happening. But just remember something. Anybody that's upset isn't making a nice soup or a nice salad. Anybody that's upset isn't thinking about looking after themselves. They're hurting themselves. Am I right or wrong? So I'm just telling you that if you want to get rid of this, we need to bring up your vibration on an emotional and physical level. I'd say get a consultation, because getting rid of this problem, this bacteria, is not a hard thing to do. The bacteria can only live in you because you created, unknowingly, you created an environment that it could live in. And I know that just, oh, please don't brush me off like that. I'm not brushing you off. I don't mean anything like that, okay? I'm trying to get through these questions. And the reality is you can't do better until you know better. And nobody wants to give you better. The problem is if we give you better and you start looking after yourself, what are we going to do? We're going to be out of a job. And the reality is if you started embracing yourself and loving nature, then you wouldn't be watching Netflix. And you wouldn't be eating Cheetos. And you wouldn't be eating burritos and tacos. And you wouldn't be having beer. And then you wouldn't be taking drugs because you wouldn't have pain. And then you wouldn't, and because if you don't do the drugs, then you're not going to get all full of scar tissue and tumors. And then we won't have surgery. Oh my God, do you want to just mess everything up for us? Okay. Yeah, mess it up for everyone. Okay, I'm sure we'll find something to do. Okay, like fall in love with each other. And the reality about this is there's enough food, there's enough water, there's enough everything on this planet. These psycho elite, they're just like they're ready for the harvest, whether you think so or not. They've been playing us for like a long time, just taking things away and trying to get us used to being mistreated, and then teaching us how to mistreat ourselves. I'm gonna say this all the time because it's the truth. And if you don't want to look at that, you're just so scared. That's all. Shima, hello. Last week I had someone work on my abdomen and pelvic area. She's coming back Wednesday to continue to work in that area. My question is, I'm trying to conceive. Is it okay to continue work during my fertile window? Okay, so let's understand something. That Wolfe Non-Surgical actually goes in and it lovingly pulls the scar tissue apart. It helps to release the calcium, the displaced calcium. And if you're taking SAC calcium, it goes back into the bones. So if you're trying to conceive, I'd be on SAC calcium. And the reality is, if you get pregnant and you're doing SAC calcium, the bone structure of that baby is just going to be amazing. Okay, so now when you do go in and do the Wolfe Non-Surgical, you're increasing blood supply, you're increasing the heat in the area, so you're melting the crystallization. So if we get rid of the physical blocks in your body, do you think that maybe you conceive faster? Do you know why a lot of women can't conceive? They have scar tissue in their fallopian tube. Did you know that by doing Wolfe Non-Surgical, we can get rid of the scar tissue in the fallopian tube? Did you know that we can get rid of a fibroid that's in your pelvis? Did you know that we can help you get rid of that continual bladder infection? Did you know that we can get rid of the adhesions that were caused from the cesarean, okay, or from the tummy tuck? So that now that you can make love and it's not going to hurt you, that you can move and it's not going to feel tugging. Now that you can, and we'll get rid of the blocks of the scar tissue. So now that you can poop without trying to grunt and groan and feel like you're just being polluted. No, there's no problem here. If anything, it's gonna cause you to get pregnant. Get rid of physical blocks. You increase circulation. I mean, that's how we create the delivery. I mean, if we've got a river and there's 20 beaver dams on that river, what's the flow like? Oh, no, it's not. It's a cesspool. So every time you get rid of one of the beaver dams, the flow goes better, the circulation goes better, so life comes back. So the more life we get into your pelvis and into your abdomen, the more life you're going to be able to grow. Okay? Okay. Will it disturb ovulation? No. She started work on my pelvic area on day 3 of my cycle. I plan on having 2 more sessions, making it 4 in total. Any advice that would be great? Thank you. Well, the better your bowels move and the more circulation you have, the more vibration, higher vibration you have down there, more oxygen, the more nutrition. Wow. Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, let's put it this way. Healthy women get pregnant. Unhealthy women don't get pregnant. Boom. Healthy people don't bruise. Unhealthy people bruise. Okay? All right? Philomena. Sorry. I'm 59, have been living with lupus, which damages my kidney. Well, lupus is like arthritis of the connective tissue. So this person's on fire. This person, maybe not. But most of the time with people who have lupus, they're just stress monkeys, okay? They're fearful about everything, and they don't even realize it. They think that their fear is a way that they protect themselves and everybody else. And meanwhile, the fear is the way that they keep on dumping the adrenaline and the cortisol that is actually going in and damaging and eating her kidneys up. Isn't that something? And kidneys, when you have actually a disease in the kidneys, it's because you have a great fear that there's not going to be enough. All right? And, go ahead, call me and call me out on this, okay? Call me tomorrow. My extension is 5, and I guarantee you we'll find out what you're fearful there is not enough of in your life, okay? I'm at stage 4. Doctor, please, do you know what I can do for my kidneys? Have lupus for 21 years. Well, you don't have to have lupus for 21 years, and I would get a consultation from one of my trainers. I'll go through the case history with them, and we can start there. But the reality is do you want me to give you a Band-Aid, or do you want me to give you a perfect day strategy? That's it. Bailey, morning. Doctor Wolfe, I have a question. Dr. Wolfe, I have a question regarding a sharp pain from the nose to the brain. Okay, so that's sinus inflammation. Got it. What do you recommend? I don't know. I'd recommend getting our silver bullet liquid, getting the fulvic eye drops, and get yourself a nebulizer and nebulize that and breathe that in. That'll help to bring down some of the inflammation in there. Get rid of all dairy. Try to get off of flour products, okay? And you can also do some clapping, right? Like this. Look. And I'm serious about this, okay? This clapping is really important to do to just break up the blocks. So you can do that all around, and that will help your sinuses. Remember, it's all about blocks and circulation. But I would get on the perfect day diet so that you're not on an inflammatory diet at all. I'd look at getting on the daily cleansing tea for sure, and I'd be looking at the tummy love, but I'd be looking at curcumin cayenne to reduce that inflammation. And understand something, you have dairy in your diet or too much flour products or too much pasta or something. Something's going on here, okay? Just know that, okay? Because it doesn't go to your head first. And the only reason why it would usually do that is because you have such bad fungal problems throughout your body, which means that maybe you took a lot of antibiotics. Now, then what happens is when you do a lot of antibiotics, the yeast turns into fungus, candida, and it drills holes, and that fungus gets in, and sometimes that can have that problem. But usually that's not it, okay? Be a detective. Start taking a look at it. If you want to give me a call, do that, or get a consult. Melissa, any recommendations on lowering testosterone in women? Okay, first of all I want to say is this. I don't want you to believe me. I'm not your doctor. You have a doctor. You probably have a medical doctor, right? So you do whatever you want to do. I'm not asking you to believe me. When I'm giving you my personal opinion, what I've learned throughout my years, okay? So here's the deal. When somebody comes into me with a hormonal problem, we never treat the hormones. Why? Because I don't believe that hormonal problems are caused because of hormonal problems. I believe they're caused because of inflammatory problems. I believe that the inflammation is caused from an infection. First you get infection, then you get inflammation. And when you get inflammation, then you throw off the hormones in the whole human body. All the bells and whistles go off. Everything is just erratic, okay? Because that's called autoimmune disease. And autoimmune disease is called attacking yourself. And when you're attacking yourself, then you just tip the whole barrel over. And understand something. I'm not going to go make hormones my focus, because the reality is you don't have a hormonal problem because you have a pituitary problem or an adrenal problem or a thyroid problem. What you got is you got infection that causes inflammation that then creates everything else. And that's where I come from. So I'm not telling you we're out to cure any of this. I'm not going to balance your hormones. What I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to take the pressure, infection, inflammation away from your body and let your amazing God gift balance its own hormones, because that's how it works. But understand something. You go ahead and try to balance your hormones. See how well that goes. Oh, yeah, you'll turn down the burner to simmer, maybe, but the reality is you'll never turn the burner off. I'm not telling you that, I'm a specialist at this. I'm just telling you that 40 years, I already did the hormone thing. I tried to do it, tried to come at every angle with it, never worked. As soon as I just got away from that part and really went in and created that strong, perfect day strategy, we went, wow, where's the hormonal problem? And it doesn't mean that you don't support your hormones with doing nice things. Of course you do that anyway. Valentina, hi, Daryl. Oh, there. Hi, Daryl. Sounds good to me. Hi, Daryl. I've been in pain for a few weeks with sciatica on my right side of my buttocks and going down my thigh. We talked about sciatica already, and understand something. When you get sciatica and it's going down your leg, just know this. I'm going to tell you two things, okay? So, here. I'm going to show you this again. I call these the lower eyes of the body. So if you take a look, you see here, right here? These are tuberosities, okay? Maybe that one's easier. Right there. Okay, if you put your hand, everyone, put your hands down on your low back. Now, do you feel, come down to where your sacrum is, just above your sacrum. Now, take a look and come 2 inches out from your spine, maybe 1.5 inches, depends how big you are. And you'll feel these 2 little bumps, that bony bump there. Well, here's what happens. Believe it or not, when you walk, you're supposed to go like this. Womp, womp. That's how you walk. You walk like this. But then guess what? You start to waddle. You go like a duck. And that's because they're frozen. These got all kinds of calcified scar tissue crystallization. I'm going to tell you something right now. If I could get in and I could work on, one second, Valentina, if I could work on Valentina for 15 minutes right there, and then 10 minutes, 15 minutes just underneath her buttocks right here, this spot and that spot. It's gone. She'd go, oh my God, it's gone. Well, see, the reality is there's a knot there and there's a knot there of scar tissue. And once they're gone, then you've got the movement, okay? And you don't have the pressure. Every time that Valentina, think about it. Yes or no? Every time you get tired, every time you strain yourself, that's when it hurts. And the reality is, especially when you get tired, because when you get tired, your defenses come down. And then wherever the weak links are, they become inflamed and they swell a little and they push on the nerve and ooh, there you go. Okay? So understand something. Just know this. A Wolfe Non-Surgical therapist will guarantee that they will totally reverse this. And in the first treatment, they will prove to you that they will reverse it. Now, we could be looking at 1 to 3 treatments. If you're an alcoholic, if you're totally constipated and you binge eat, and you have really a bad diet. Oh, and also, if you're really depressed, then it'll take a little bit longer. So if you're not depressed, and you decide you want to change your diet somewhat into what we call a better eating healthy diet, and you want to do our pelvic squats, and you want to do some other exercises, belly button therapy, and if you want to take the daily cleansing tea, you don't have to do a lot of things. We're going to reverse this. Look, let me tell you something. When somebody says to you, well, this is all I can do for you, well, that's because that's all they know. They bottomed out. Their training didn't have unlimited potential. I'm telling you that my training does. When I teach my practitioners and when people come to me, they come to a 21-day training. Now, you can believe this or not believe this, and some people are going to get upset here. They'll come and I'll certify them after 21 days. We'll even build their websites at cost. And understand something, I'm looking to creating tens of thousands of practitioners all over the world. And people that have always wanted to be a practitioner, we're going to make them into one. And the reality is these practitioners that work for me, they offer a money-back guarantee that they're going to be able to do more than any other therapy out there. No way, Dr. Wolfe. No way. Yeah, no way. I'm telling you, yes way. I'm telling you that that it's been made to look really difficult in the natural health field and in the medical field. And understand something. There's a hidden practitioner. And if you've got passion and you've got purpose and you really want to get out there and help people, well, you're going to. And that's what we do. Go to itioh.com or give me a call, extension 5. Come take our courses. I mean, I'll back you up. We do trainings even after you take the course. Every 2 weeks, you're on with me. And anytime that you've got a client or a patient that you want to work with, you can call me and I'm going to tell you what I would do in that situation. Understand something. Don't let them tell you no. Don't let the world tell you no. Don't let the world tell you that you got to go into $150,000 in debt. You got to go to school for 8 years. Let me tell you something. God made the body, and understand something. Let's use common sense, all right? And I'm going to tell you something. Do you see anybody else doing body work that offers a money-back guarantee that they're going to do more in the first treatment than anything else that's ever been done? I will, because I do. Take a look at my testimonials. You know, it's like this. It's one thing to say something. I'm not saying this to brag, people. So I just want you to get that. What I want you to really, truly understand is that I really believe that we are family, the whole world. And understand something. If you suffer, I suffer. If you're happy, I'm happy. And you know what? If we were all healthy and happy, we wouldn't be in lockdown or wearing diapers on our face or depends in our pants. And that's the reality. And I'm not condemning anybody that wears that thing on their face right now. But the reality is we already know the science is in and it actually has no health value. So I get it. You're living in fear. You want to be accepted. You want approval. And you don't want to die. But understand something. Until you unleash the practitioner from within, you're dying a little bit every day. Okay. I've been using a cold pack. No, I wouldn't use a cold pack. What I would do, definitely not an ice pack. And what I would do is I would use like you can use not like ice, but if it's really hot, you could under cold water wring it out, and then you could put it on top just cold because you want to draw the heat out slowly. If you go in and use ice on anything, you put it into shock, you can actually cause cell death and cell damage. I'm not a big ice guy. I don't know whoever invented that one. The only time that I would do ice is if I sprained my ankle or something like that, and I would do it for 10 minutes. Then I would back off because your body goes into crisis for the first, when right away, depends on the trauma. So we just want to slow down that. I'm having such a hard time sitting, standing, walking. I've been using a cold pack. Should I clamp the area? Yes, you should. I wish I could come and see you. No, you don't wish. You just do it, Valentina. And if you can't come me, I'll send you to one of my non-surgical therapists throughout the world. So the reality is this. Take massive personal action. Take your life back. Okay? So understand, we do what the majority of the population does, which sit on the couch. That's what they do, don't they? Does the majority of the population take massive action to love themselves well? I don't think so. The reality is, Valentina, give me a call and let's get you out of this. Lori, how does Crohn's disease get turned around? Well, first of all, Crohn's disease is where in the small intestine there's enough acidity that's eating holes through the intestine. And after a while, we call it lead pipe disease because there's so much scar tissue. So the reality is deep in the pit of my stomach, I am angry, I am fearful, I am upset. So we got to take a look at the diet and we got to look at the emotions, okay? My daughter was diagnosed at the age of 12, now 20. And guess what, Lori? See, I didn't take a look at her age, but the reality is what traumatically happened around the age of 11 or 12? What traumatically happened? So there was a trauma, and that trauma was so powerful, it stayed with her. So when we run a program of terror, we will continually do it. So now she's 20. She'll probably run it forever unless somebody's going to help to bring the vibration of her emotional and physical up. I would tell you this much, that if you come and take my whole life coach certification course, it's 8 days. We'll change your life forever. You'll have that Braveheart hero. You won't be driving yourself crazy or your family. And the reality is if I was the king of everything, I would have everyone go through my whole life coach certification because that's how you get your life back. Because if you don't run new beliefs, if you don't run new thoughts that create new beliefs, then you're not going to change your personality, which means you're never going to change your reality. So the only reason why you're suffering as much as you do is because you're running beliefs that actually create that. I don't suffer. Did you get that? Now, things happen in my life that are crises, but I decide how long I'm going to suffer, which is I like 30 seconds. That's about it. And I pull myself back. Where somebody else might go 3 days, 3 months, 3 years, maybe forever. The reality is that if you're running a guilt program or a failure program, it will keep you sick forever on an emotional and physical level. So your daughter, take a look also at her bowels, and she has terrible bowels. She probably is constipated, and then she has diarrhea, because that's with Crohn's. They get constipated, then they have diarrhea, and then they have diarrhea that could be going anywhere from 5 to 20 times a day. And understand, constipation isn't as bad as diarrhea, because when you get diarrhea, you can shorten your lifespan by about 10 to 15 years, because you're continually losing your nutrition and all your electrolytes. Rachel, I keep saying call me, but the reality is guess what? Let's just get on track with this with your daughter. And maybe if you don't want to get her a perfect day consult, give me a call. But the reality is just go into my perfect day guide, at least look at the perfect day diet and emotionally, nutritionally, physically, and see where you want to go from there, and then give me a call. Rachel, I suffer from PTSD, which is actually shell shock. And PTSD, let's just stop calling it that, please. Just stop. It's not a disease, okay? It's a traumatic event that you held on to. And that's why when we used to go to war, it was shell shock. It was never PTSD. That was the government that decided to call it PTSD because they didn't want to call it shell shock, because then they'd be more responsible for looking after these Braveheart heroes, right? So now we call it PTSD, and it's just like, well, they're broken. So, I got it in a few years back through trauma. See, trauma. My best friend was knocked down in a hit and run, and the sound it made was awful. Yeah, but the more you keep playing that story over, the worse it's going to be for you. So you are your own terrorist, and God love you, but you are. We are. I'm my own terrorist, for pity's sakes. I hate loud bangs, even just the letterbox. They broke every bone in his body. Yeah, I know, but you keep telling the story to yourself and everyone else. Okay? You have to be. And the reality is tell another story. I stayed with him until the paramedics came. I suffer every day horrendous flashbacks, panic attacks. So now you're running a program, and guess what? Okay, let me just put it this way. Rachel, your subconscious says that if you're not in pain every day, you're not alive. So when do you want to run a new program, girl? And understand something. You being in pain, how's that? And guess what? We actually believe that if we suffer when someone else suffers, that is showing we love them. Well, it's definitely, maybe that could be the case with you, but it's not showing you love yourself. So why don't you love yourself enough to protect yourself from retelling the same bloody story that's tearing you apart? Now, I'm not picking on you, so let's please get this. Let's get this. It's just that subconscious, man, once it gets a prominent program in there, it will kill you with it. And you're going to have to stop it. Panic attacks, etc. Everything with COVID is so much more heightened. It's horrific. Well, the reality is, okay, listen, sweetie. Here's the reality. The reality is that you're programmed to not trigger dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Do you get your daily dose of love? No. You get off, not you, but your body now gets off on fight or flight. That's your high. Now, if I told you that you could no longer be fearful, that you had to stay connected to your Lionheart breath, as soon as you felt fear coming, you had to go 3, 2, 1, I got this, and turn it into anxiety, turn it from fear to excitement. And I said every time you start to feel fearful again, or you want to tell that story, you have to click that. You have to put a slight smile on your face, shoulders back, and you got to go, I'm the best. This is the best life ever. And you went over to the mirror and you went, I'm going to protect you from my subconscious. Until I change every dysfunctional belief in my subconscious, I'm going to come up to the mirror as soon as I start to feel fearful, and I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to go, Rachel, I love you. I am here to protect you and respect you, and this is not happening. There's a new sheriff in town. Go watch my 12 Braveheart Loving Steps. Start doing the Braveheart Love Band. Start doing the Lionheart Connection. Start doing the mirror work. Okay? If you don't want to do this, then you're going nowhere. Because understand something, all right? Those that are controlling you right now, sweetheart, with COVID fear, okay, they realize one thing. All we got to do is what do we got to do? All we got to do is repeat to Rachel that her life is in a threatening situation, and we own her. She will end up taking so many pain prescriptions, anxiety prescriptions. Eventually, she's going to have surgery because she fried her tissues from the adrenaline and the cortisol. We're going to make a lot of money off of Rachel. Who gives a crap about Rachel? Let's just chew her up and spit her out. And understand something, Rachel. Your family is a fearful family too, because nobody knows how to deal with you, because if they don't know how to deal with themselves, because we've never been given a manual that said, hey, love yourself well. Whatever you repeat the most each and every day, you will become. Unless you are creating prominent beliefs of self-love, self-care, self-discipline in your subconscious, you will lose yourself one piece at a time to corporations. And that's the truth. You know what? I'll tell you what. Okay. Tell you what I'm going to do. I don't know what time I'm going to come on tomorrow, but I got to go. Actually, I do. I actually have to do a 2-hour consultation, and I was supposed to do it at 4 o'clock, and so I got to go. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've got probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I always promise to do all the questions. I got 10 questions here. And we will do them Thursday or Friday. Drake, when do you think we should do them? Friday?
Friday.
Friday morning?
Yeah, Friday 11.
10 o'clock?
11.
11 o'clock.
Yeah.
There, see? I don't even call the shots here anymore. Drake does, okay? I work for Drake, okay? So 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Friday, I will do these last questions. I just want everybody to know something. You know what? You're all Braveheart heroes. I want to thank you for coming down on this planet and being brave to do that. And I want you to know something. There is a Braveheart hero in there. There's a practitioner in there. And if I said anything to you that made you feel like you're less of a person, that was not what I meant to do. I came here to stir up the fire inside to tell you that, you know what? You're beautiful. And the day that you start to really realize one thing, that if you could totally love yourself right now, you wouldn't be taking anything away from the world. You wouldn't be taking away anything from your family. You would be giving the world what it needs. And you would be giving your family what they need. Is somebody that totally loves, honors, and respects themselves so that you could become the light for the family. And you could be the family's mirror. You could be my mirror. You could be everybody's mirror. Okay? So do me a favor, okay? Wherever you go, make sure that you leave smiles everywhere. Just think about it, okay? Where's your humor? Okay? Don't worry about things. Don't worry about anything. Okay? Let me tell you something. It's gonna be great. And understand something. If it wasn't for COVID, I didn't want to keep going on like this. I didn't want to see all of this crap that people were watching on TV, all the crap that my grandchildren are eating, all the stuff that people are doing, even my kids, watching my kids, what they do and what their friends do. It was enough. It was enough. The world need to be shook up. And if these elite psychos have to be the tipping point of this, yes. But let's put an end to it by totally loving and honoring, respecting ourselves and saying no, no, no. And when you feel scared, understand something. We're going to come in and break your door down and steal your kids. What is this? I'm going to huff and puff and blow your house down? Hey, you got to understand something. I'm the big bad wolf. Okay? All right? And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not that bad. I'm pretty good. And so are you. Okay? We just need to come together and stand together. All right? So Monday, October the 12th, I'll have another Q&A at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wednesday, October the 14th, guess who I've got? Dr. Magna Havas. She is the world expert in 5G. Go figure. And in Wi-Fi. And in electric smog pollution. And she's got a heart of gold. You are going to love this woman, okay? And don't forget that if you want, we'll come to you. You can come to us. We'll personally treat and train your whole family. Or if you're a couple, or if you're just somebody who wants to come and take their life back, give us a call, all right? Or you can go and look at our personal treatment training guide in my library. January the 9th in Kelowna, we have our courses, the 21-day certification, whole life coach, and Wolfe Non-Surgical. But just know, 2 people had to bail out of the November course. If you're in the mood, come see me, okay? I know it's not too far, November, but the reality is there's a whole new life that awaits us all. All right? Let me see here. Also, in the new year, we will be doing Whole Life Coach online, all right? All right, I've talked enough. I can't even make it through the rest of these things. You know, the reality is if you want my book, you can get it free. You can download the audios on iTunes or Spotify or SoundCloud. All of my shows go on YouTube, and they're all time-stamped by 24 hours later. So if you want to look at a specific question, and just know this, share the show if you love the show. And I just want to thank you for making the show possible. Because if you weren't there, I wouldn't be here. And now I got to get out of here. You have a beautiful day, and just remember this. 3, 2, 1. You got this, Braveheart. you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.